The story begins with a girl named Xiong, known as the most skilled exorcist and spirit medium student. She helps spirits transition from the human world to their underworld. She's still in high school. While busy exorcising an evil spirit from someone, she was in a huge rush for her exam. She decided to leave the spirit and ran to her school. The first person she meets there is Jiho, her closest friend, to whom she tells everything about her life. It's also obvious he has feelings for her, though he hasn't confessed. He's the only one in the entire school who knows her secret life. Not only is Xiong skilled at exorcism, but she can also see ghosts, pinpoint exactly where they are and who they're attached to. Before we return to school, let me introduce you to her Taito, spiritual mother, the woman who adopted Xiong and taught her the arts of sorcery and the secrets of shamans. She is also the one most opposed to the idea of Xiong continuing her education after high school, because from her perspective, she, the mother, is the only one who can carry on their legacy. However, she tolerates it and handles her carefully so that the shamanic work doesn't stop, as they earn money from it. Until one day, a person arrives who will turn her life 180 degrees. Gyun, the one with him, is his grandmother. He turns her life upside down because, in reality, our guy is cursed with a spell called upside down, meaning he walks inverted. Anyone afflicted by this curse has an inevitable fate of death. To make matters worse, Seong abandoned all the people who come to her and all the guys at her school and became infatuated with this inverted guy. I want to draw your attention to two important things about him. First, Yoon and his grandmother were going to Seong to ask for a talisman to ward off his bad luck, meaning they had no background about the existence of this curse. Second, and more importantly, is the spiritual mother's reaction when she found out her daughter intended to help and save him. She reminded her of the time she previously decided to help someone in the same condition as Gyun, and the result was that she was nearly killed in a car accident. This is because if she decides to help him, the law of equivalent exchange will apply. This law states that she must sacrifice herself to save him, and not just that. She must also face all the ghosts that will haunt her and get rid of them to be able to help him. Her mother was surprised why she was so determined to help him despite knowing what would happen to her. Seong said to her frankly, "Mom, I fell in love with him at first sight. And you think the surprises are over? Not at all." This unexpected surprise happened to Seong at her school. What happened was that Gyun transferred to Seong's school. The worst part was that she couldn't control her nerves, and the moment she saw him in her class, she jumped up in fright, making everyone around her notice her strange behavior. Since Gyun had never seen her face before, as an exorcist, he was also very surprised by her behavior. But in his own way, he managed to gather the situation and said he had met her before to shut up the guys who mocked her. But in truth, he didn't know her and had never seen her before. This situation was the first time they met. After that, situations increased, one after another. That same night, she saved him from the ghost of the butcher shop that was about to make him trip on the street. Instead of thanking her, he warned her to stay away from his path. But of course, she didn't listen to him and became more and more determined to help him and save him from death by any means. She gathered herself and went to the best talisman maker, named Master of Flowers, and had him make some talismans through which she could protect Gyun. To be able to protect him, she had to get them to him by any means, because they had to be with him. The most suitable way to help him and deliver them was to talk to his grandmother and have him come with her, and then act. What happened was that Gyun did go to her with his grandmother, but not to sit and discuss together. No, he went to let her hear a few words about his view on shamans and how much he hates them, because, to him, they are a group of frauds. After that, he left without taking the talismans. But before he left, Seong saw him inverted as usual, and also saw that there was a possibility he would die by drowning. And indeed, her vision was about to come true, but she caught up with him at the last moment, and, with a talisman she had, warded off the water ghost that was about to kill him. What let her know this would happen was that before entering class, she was near the wall and saw wet footprints leading to the boys' bathroom. At that moment, she understood what was going to happen and was forced to go to the boys' bathroom. Despite trying to get close to him and talk to him in every way, he kept pushing her away every time. Consequently, she found no possible way to help him to give him the talismans. The solution was that in a time and situation like this, Jiho had to step in and solve the problem. He threw himself in front of Gyun, took his phone, and then gave it to Seong so she could act and place the talismans in it. Immediately after, she left the class. Before she could do anything, Jiho went to her, took them from her, and placed them in the phone. It so happened at that time that Gyun's grandmother was present at the school and saw them talking about her grandson and having his phone, which Gyun was already searching for everywhere. Before he reached his grandmother, she took his phone from them. They told her they found it dropped. Accordingly, she told her grandson the same thing. But we are now at an important point. Gyun's grandmother became aware of the talismans in his phone case. Not only that, but after meeting his grandmother, Seong invited herself to dinner at their house and went with Jiho. Her primary goal was to place the rest of the talismans in the house, as it's the place he stays the most. As she was leaving, Gayun's grandmother thanked her for what she did for her grandson and called her by her real name, Spirit of Heaven and Earth. They agreed to meet another time. This time, his grandmother went alone, but he decided to follow her to find out exactly where she was going. When he found her entering Seong's shop, he went in after her and got very angry when he found them sitting together because, as I told you, he hates shamans. Seong saw flames swirling around the inverted Gyun and said this time he would die burned. And indeed, her vision came true. Out of nowhere, Gyun went to the warehouse, and suddenly fire caught everything around him. This was due to a fire ghost that suddenly appeared in the place. The idea was that the ghost was stronger than her, and the talisman she had couldn't handle it. At the last moment, Jiho arrived and put out the fire. From what happened, we gained two important pieces of information about Gyun. The first piece of information says he was very skilled at archery and used to represent his school in big competitions, until, unfortunately, he was expelled. The second piece of information is the reason for his expulsion from school. It turned out there was a big fire in his old school, especially in the student dormitory, and he was accused of causing it. That's why you find he has some sweet memories with archery and some very bad ones with the incident that happened at his school. After a while, his grandmother also died and left him with the worst memory of his life. He found that she was the only person who loved him, helped him, and was with him every step of the way. Before she died, she met Seong and told her how much her grandson had suffered in his life because of the bad luck that follows him in everything, and how much he hates people and doesn't like to deal with them. That's why she entrusted Seong to stand by him and stay beside him until he gets rid of his bad luck and returns to his life as before. And perhaps this is the reason that made Seong go to her funeral, even though she knows for sure Gyun doesn't accept her. But there's no other way. This is the only way through which she can be by his side. The point here is that when she went to the funeral, she went wearing her shaman robes, not her normal clothes as Seong. From another angle, we see the spiritual mother with the rest of her team in a very old house, trying to exorcise an evil spirit that caused the death of 3 people. But since then, the spiritual mother couldn't overcome it. All she did was lock the door of the house and warned the villagers that no one should approach the house. When she sat alone, she started thinking about who could have placed a curse like this and buried it in the house. Because this isn't just any curse. No, it's considered the most dangerous curse that makes the shaman who performs it a servant to the evil spirit. But its end is very ugly because, in the end, magic backfires on the magician, and the shaman ends up destroying themselves. The bigger problem was in the hairpin that the spiritual mother found in that house, because she was the one who knew its owner best and knew her evil. Accordingly, she gathered herself and went to the person closest to the hairpin's owner. At that time, she took her phone and started searching through it until she found the number of the shaman owner of the hairpin. This shaman's name was Yum Hua, and from the looks of it, Yum Hua was expecting this day, but it came very early. What happened confirms to us that these two have a bitter past between them. If opened, it will open the gates of hell on their faces. Until we know exactly what their stories are, let's look at Xiang, who ran to the spiritual mother and asked her to help her in any way possible to save Gyun, who, because of his grief over his grandmother, had a suicide ghost approaching him. The spiritual mother told her that to protect him, you must do 2 steps. First, find one reason that gives him a motivation to live and love life, because this is the only way that can keep the suicide ghost away from him. Second is the human talisman. Simply, instead of writing the talisman on paper, you will write it on your body, as long as you want to save him and love him to this degree. The human guardian talisman is millions of times stronger than a talisman written on paper. But the most important thing you must do is to always stay by his side and accompany him anywhere for the talisman to work. Otherwise, it's as if you've done nothing. Based on the spiritual mother's words, Seong wrote the talisman on her body. Consequently, she had to be by his side in any form, even if just to say hello. And indeed, the girl started behaving in strange and incomprehensible ways to get close to him and keep the suicide ghost away from him. With that, what remained was for her to convince him to regain his passion for life once again. She told him that his grandmother loved archery, and was happy when he played, won medals, and was honored in front of everyone. And him being away from the thing his grandmother loved would surely sadden her. From here, he decided to join the school's archery team and began training with them. Accordingly, the suicide ghost started to move away from him because dark thoughts like suicide left his mind. Not only that, but his relationship with Seong improved a lot compared to before, and they became friends after Gyun had refused the idea of dealing with humans. What happened made the suicide ghost disappear completely, and we learned that a long time ago, when he was young, he went to many shamans to ward off this bad luck from him. Yum Hua was one of those shamans. But until now, we don't know the reason that made him hate them to this extent. From another angle, we see the spiritual mother at Master of Flowers' shop to ask him about Yumhua and learn about her latest evil works, given that he is Yumhua's closest friend and knows everything about her. From here, we learn that she is the shaman who performed the evil rituals in the house. Because at the time Master Sid al-Zuhur called her, she was at the house preparing herself to perform new rituals, but she didn't get a chance to do anything because Xiong had arrived at the house, as she and the spiritual mother were supposed to perform rituals to exorcise the evil spirit. But what happened was as follows. Yumhua came out of the house, laughed at Xiong and told her, "I am one of the shamans who will participate with you in the rituals." These rituals consisted of a specific dance performed by two people, so Yumhua asked Xiong to perform this dance with her in exchange for giving her the mask she puts on her face. And indeed, after they finished the dance and each of them proved her skill, Gyun had reached the same place because he was walking near the house. At that moment, he discovered Seong's true identity and learned she was a shaman. But Seong can't stay away from him because there were only 5 days left for the 21 days to complete and for him to die. And perhaps this is the reason that made her ask him to stay by his side for only 5 days. And then each of them goes their separate way because Master of Flowers told Seong about Yumhua and asked her if she had seen her in the abandoned house last night or not. She told him, "Yes, I saw her and danced with her." It turned out that our friend, Yumhua, had cast a curse on the house that whoever enters it will be a sacrifice to the ghosts inside, and she applied the law of equivalent exchange in it. This is a law that says you must sacrifice yourself to save another person. The question here is, someone like Yumhua, who would she sacrifice herself for? Obviously, when someone like her performs such rituals and sacrifices herself, the person she's sacrificing for must be very dear to her. Just like Xiong entangled herself with Gyun to save him using the law of equivalent exchange, also because she loves him. But the only difference between them is that what Xiong did was with talismans and rituals that contain no evil, while Yumhua used a curse and summoned evil spirits. The worst of all this is that after Gyun discovered Xiong's truth, the guardian talisman stopped yielding results. Her presence by his side became useless, and her protection no longer affected him. Because of this, any ghost that thought of harming him could harm him with complete ease. The solution was that Jiho decided to help both of them and solve the problem. He suggested to Seong that he become the guardian talisman for Gyun, especially after confirming that the bad luck would keep following him and ruining his life more than it already is. At his request, Seong began writing the talisman on his body to protect Gyun with it. In case he, Jiho, is away from him and leaves him at some point, then he, Gyun, must have something with his scent on it. This thing must be in the form of a toy, a doll, or any shape with eyes, nostrils, and 2 lips drawn on it. He, Jiho, places a talisman in it and gives it to him, Gyun, to protect him when he's away from him. Jiho found an old toy he had and decided to give it to him. After a while, Seong, the spiritual mother, and Master Flowers went to the abandoned house to face the army of white ghosts. These are a group of ghosts who are completely faceless, controlled by a ghost about to be reborn. This ghost is present in the abandoned house. Let me remind you that Yumhua applied the law of equivalent exchange and decided to sacrifice herself for a specific person. It turned out she did this for this ghost. She was supposed to be a servant to the ghost and carry out its requests in exchange for it helping her with what she wants. Her evil grew in the end, and she threw Gyun's picture inside the house. It turned out she offered him as a sacrifice to the ghost instead of offering herself. This is because his bad luck always follows him. His family disowned him. His life is almost destroyed and useless. Seong discovered all this when she was inside the house and saw Gyun's picture thrown in it. And indeed, the monster possessed him and took control of him, after they tried in every way to free him from the evil spirit and failed to do so, and that if Seong let go of his hand and moved away, he would suddenly transform and act with the behavior of the possessing ghost. But if she kept holding his hand or stayed close to him, then Gyun would be in his natural personality. With this, we now know how Seong will deal with Gyun. But if we look at the spiritual mother, we find she managed to catch Yumhua and tie her up to free her and purify her from the evil she is in. At this moment, we discover some important information about Yumhua. First, it turned out the spiritual mother had adopted her, just as she had previously adopted Seong, and taught her the arts and secrets of shamanism. The matter developed with her and reached a very ugly stage of evil. Second, we learned that long ago she lost her son after he was born and tried every possible way to summon his spirit. The spiritual mother prevented her because she was going to use evil methods to carry out what was in her mind. Third then, the main reason for the enmity between the spiritual mother and Yumhua is that she prevented her from carrying out her will, and from that time she hated the spiritual mother and decided to use what she learned from her for evil. Anyway, after they finished the rituals, They imprisoned her in the prayer room to ensure she wouldn't harm anyone. But all of this wasn't as important to her as it was important for her to meet the evil spirit by any means, and at a specific time, specifically in a time called the Bull's Hour. Yumhua was forced to summon the evil spirit and made Gyun let go of Seong's hand and go out to meet her. The worst part is that now, no matter how close Seong gets to him, he won't be affected by her protective power, and he will remain with the personality of the ghost possessing him. Even worse than all this is that his senses began to open so he can hear and see ghosts. In order, it will start from his ears, then his eyes, then his mouth, and finally his nostrils. This will make him hear them, see them, speak their language, and smell their scent. And once he reaches the stage where he smells the scent of ghosts, then the matter is over for him, and he will turn into a ghost himself. Even worse than that is that instead of being under Yumhua's mercy, she became under his mercy. This was after he refused to start the rituals with her that caused the ghost to possess Gyun's body. Since she can't do anything without him, she was forced to resort to her own rituals to make him comply willingly. At that time, it coincided with the day of the archery competition, in which he was supposed to be very focused. But what happened was that Yumhua started her rituals. These rituals are called the ununion spell. This spell deals with when there are two spirits who want to unite with each other, and the link between them is an evil spirit. The moment the competition began, Yumhua began the rituals, and Gyun's eyes opened, and he began to see ghosts. At the same time, Seong discovered what was happening, and just as Yumhua was doing, Seong also began the union spell rituals, but neither of them could do anything or achieve anything. Gyun won the competition, but what happened was that the union spell backfired on Seong with a curse. This is because she was the guardian talisman for Gyun, so it, the spell, had to overcome her first before it could harm or unite with him. After a while, Seong discovered that the one with her was no longer Gyun. This was due to a simple mistake she made during training. The real Gyun would always count from 1 to 3 before shooting the arrow, and this didn't happen when Seong was with him in training. From here, she discovered the truth. The solution was simple. They gathered and went to the spiritual mother and told her everything. It turned out Yumhua intended to transfer Gyun to the other world and sacrifice him to summon the Reaper of Souls. What would help her do this is harming Gyun in the real world. Therefore, they must protect him in the real world, so he isn't harmed while in the other world. Yes, he is present in the other world, but in reality, he is suspended between the two worlds. The solution is for them to find out the reason for the existence of the spirit that possessed him in the human world, instead of it being supposed to be in its own world. But what is keeping the spirit suspended between the two worlds? The story of the evil spirit says that it was a soldier before he was killed, and became a spirit suspended between the worlds. The main reason he became a ghost is his comrade's ring. His comrade was killed before him and entrusted him to deliver it to his mother. Unfortunately, he also died before he could give her the ring, and because of this, he became a ghost. Accordingly, the spirit of the ghost emerged from the ring and possessed Gyun. Therefore, the solution to the puzzle was in this ring. What happened was that Jiho, out of his foolishness, handed the ring to Yumhua, thinking she would help him and free Gyun from the spirit possessing him. But Yumhua took the ring and used it in evil rituals and began harming Gyun and hitting the ring while he writhed in pain, because this is the only way through which she can summon the Reaper of Souls with it. Accordingly, the spiritual mother decided to perform reverse rituals and summoned the Reaper of Souls to the wrong place to cancel her rituals. After they succeeded in summoning the Reaper of Souls to the wrong place, the ghost that was possessing Gyun decided to ruin all this. He performed the same rituals and summoned the Reaper of Souls with a curse affecting Yumhua, because she is the cause of all the suffering he is in. From this moment, let me explain to you what exactly happened. The Reaper of Souls, instead of going to Yumhua, went to the spiritual mother. This was through the handkerchief she had previously given her. This handkerchief was in the form of a guardian talisman for Yumhua, using the law of equivalent exchange. And to apply this law, one must sacrifice themselves to save the other. So the spiritual mother sacrificed herself to save her daughter, and to make up for what she did to her, Yumhua, in the past. The result was that the Reaper of Souls finished off the spiritual mother. After a while, Seong disappeared for a very long time because she changed 180 degrees and became not much different from the evil spirits. This is because she freed Gyun from the evil spirit that was possessing him and decided to go to their world to keep them away from him. But this didn't prevent Gyun from searching for her everywhere until he found her. At the same time, Yumhua also reached her place, and before she could grab her and take her by force, Gyun saved her from her hands and let her escape from her. Yumhua was about to go crazy because Seong escaped from her, and this was the only opportunity she could use to control her. Because of this, she warned Gyun to stay away from Seong, because if he falls into her hands, she will finish him off. At that moment, The same soldier spirit that had possessed Gyun possessed Seong, and the soldier's spirit cannot be freed unless they know his real name. This is the only way his spirit can be freed. This time, it possessed Gyun's body. One way or another, Gyun managed to find out her, Seong's location. She was hiding at Master Flower's house and discovered her truth. But Gyun managed to get close to her until he made the spirit emerge from her and enter his own body. At that moment, he told her, "Don't worry, I have a plan to solve all this." The solution is that he sacrifices himself to save her. He contacted Yumhua so they could begin the final rituals. Before they finished the rituals, Seong woke up and read the message Yumhua left for her. Through it, she learned they were going to end the matter. But Master Flowers and Seong had a different opinion and performed spiritual rituals to help Gyun. At the last moment, Seong opened the door of the abandoned house and stopped their rituals. Master Flowers took Yumhua and they left. Gyun and Seong stayed inside the house. At that time, she told him, "Time hasn't run out yet. All you need to do is find out the soldier's real name and leave the rest to us." And indeed, Gyun, in the other world, sat talking with the little boy who is the soldier and learned his real name. In the end, Seong and Yumhua performed rituals to liberate the soldier's spirit and managed to free him to the other world. Gyun returned to Seong in the human world. After all the hardship, Seong will finally continue her life with her first love. And here the series ends. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the like button. Let's reach 2,000 likes on this episode.